So let's deep dive into inflammation in your body, because it is the most important fundamental factor to how fast you age, how good you feel, and do you go down the road of developing a disease or do you not go down that road? So first of all, inflammation is not all bad. Inflammation is appropriate in certain circumstances. So if I hit my finger with a hammer while I'm trying to drive in a nail, that would be an example of an acute inflammation. And what happens is your immune system rushes in. Part of what it does is destroy damaged cells and then clean up the debris from that. Those things have to happen. So there's some damage that's going to be going on with inflammation, but there should come a point in time when that damage is cleared out and you can return back to normal. So that's acute inflammation. Now, what happens though, in certain circumstances, your body cannot clear everything, and then that inflammation becomes chronic. And when it's chronic, it makes life miserable. So I made some notes because I don't want to forget any of these symptoms. So I want to talk about the areas that can be affected by chronic inflammation. So number one is your brain and your nerves. So we're talking about brain fog, when you can't really crisply think, you can't remember words, you can't remember people's names. We're all going to have that from time to time, but if that's becoming more common, then there's something to look at there. Depression. A lot of people don't realize that depression can be a symptom of inflammation of the brain. And then we've got nerve pain syndromes. I see this a lot in my practice, that people have pain that lasts longer than it should last. They're more sensitive to pain than other people are. And the syndrome of pain, like take for example fibromyalgia, that's the perfect example. This pain never quite leaves the body. They're just always feeling the pain, and that is a sign of nerve inflammation. So the next area, besides the nervous system, the brain and the nerves, the next would be your muscles. And so if you have inflammation in your muscles, you're going to be stiff, you're going to be sore, you don't recover as quickly after you exercise, you're just aging faster. There's something called sarcopenia, which is the breakdown of muscle tissue in the body. And you see this in the elderly. The older someone gets, if they're not stressing their body with the proper exercise, they begin to lose muscle mass. This can also occur with toxic influences. It was one of my first symptoms that made me realize how serious my mold illness was, my mold exposure, is one leg started really wasting away. And I thought, this is crazy. And I was working with a trainer at the time, and I said, look at my legs. Can you see the difference in this one and that one? And yeah, he certainly could. So it's not anything to brush off. It could be that you've got influences going in your body causing the loss of muscle tissue. Okay, the next place is inflammation can affect your hormone signaling. Who knew that? So it can cause unbalanced hormones, including your blood sugar regulation, your thyroid hormones, your sex hormones, which would have to do with your libido and your ability to conceive and bear children, your ability to perform, sexually. All of these can be influenced by inflammation. Then we've got your mitochondrial damage. Inflammation actually damages your mitochondria. Now let's go back to junior high science, because I know most people have heard of what mitochondria is or are, but not everybody can remember what they are. And when you do remember, everybody remembers, it's the powerhouse of the cell. Nigel's laughing back there because that's what he remembers about mitochondria too. So it's true. You have many, many mitochondria per cell in your body, and they actually spark the energy that allows your cells to function. And so when the mitochondria are damaged, your cells just cannot function as well. Now, your brain and your heart and your skeletal muscle have the most mitochondria of any other area in your body. And in your brain, you can have thousands of mitochondria per cell. It blows my mind when I think about this, because just how tiny we're talking about, and just the miracle of the human body, and how we function. But understand, unhandled inflammation causes the mitochondria to break down and not be able to produce the energy that you need for healthy functioning. Not good. You can have vascular inflammation, and that would be your blood vessels, right? A symptom there would be if you have inflammation in your body, that can lead to heart disease. That can lead to cardiovascular events like heart attack, stroke. Inflammation is now being recognized as a huge part in that. So one symptom that is a sign that your muscle, your nerves, and your circulation have all been affected by inflammation is the re-experiencing of old injuries. I think of football players, people who do sports that were very active, where they got, hit and damaged and so forth. Physical stress does cause inflammation, but it is the short-term inflammation that is a healthful response for the body to clear the debris and start to heal those injuries. But what happens is, as one ages and you get a more generalized chronic inflammation in the body, old feelings of those injuries can come up. Why? And I knew a football player, a former NFL player, and he was like, the older I get, man, I just can barely function because all these hits that I took all those years, now I cannot compensate for them anymore. And then finally, inflammation affects your immune system. And so you might develop allergies as one example, but we also can get extreme with that. It is associated with cancer. It's associated with any chronic disease that you might be fighting. So inflammation is a big deal, and it is fundamental to all illness. I want to educate you so that you can take steps to handle. And I am going to talk about also things you can do to help with inflammation.